Hey, hey! Top of the morning to you. It's 8 o'clock on Friday. My name is Stephen Molyneux, and you are listening to Emerald Isle Radio, the most popular online radio station in the whole of Ireland. That's right. And today being Friday, that means Letters to Stephen Day. Letters to Stephen. And as always, my producer, locked away in his little room, Michael Flattery. Say hello to the people, Mike.
Top of the morning to you all.
A real Irishman. Now, let's hear the first letter.
Okay, this comes from Bill Reed, and he says he watched a video made by the Stefan
Molyneux.
It was about the new London mayor being a Muslim, and the way he presented it gave me the impression that there's going to be a war. Now, this worries me because I live in London. He also said he would never go back to Ireland because there are too many immigrants from Africa.
Well, let's take a look at that video now and see what's going on there. So, what's the title of this video, Mike?
It's called How the New Mayor of London Fucked Up My Summer Vacation.
Well, let's take a look at it now.
London is the greatest city in the world. I'm so proud of our city.
All right. So just before we start, the news came down today that London, which is where I grew up, fairly shortly after I was born in Athlone, Ireland. I grew up in London and lived there until I was 11. And London has just elected its first Muslim mayor. Now, this guy, I don't know a huge amount about him, Sadiq Khan. Well, in 2001, he was the lawyer for the Nation of Islam in its successful High Court bid to overturn the 15-year ban on its leader, Louis Farrakhan. In 2005 and 2008, he visited terror-charged Baba Ahmed in Wood Hill Prison. He was extradited to the US in 2012, serving time in prison before being returned to the UK in 2015. And he campaigned for the release and repatriation of Britain's last Guantanamo detainee, returned to the UK in November. And London,
So Mr. Molyneux starts off by saying,
I don't know a huge amount about him, Sadiq Khan.
Now that's very strange because Mr. Molyneux always prided himself in the fact that he does a lot of research. Have we got anything, Mike?
Well, I found it here on Wikipedia. Mr. Khan's parents immigrated from Pakistan to the UK, and his father was a bus driver and his mother was a seamstress. Mr. Khan was born in the UK, he studied hard and became a lawyer, and then eventually became a member of the British Parliament.
That's quite an achievement now, isn't it? Because I know that Pakistan has quite a low IQ level, so he did okay. Now, Mr. Molyneux obviously did some research because he's come up with some people that Mr. Khan represented as a lawyer. So let's take a look at them one by one.
He was the lawyer for the Nation of Islam in its successful High Court bid to overturn the 15-year ban on its leader, Louis Farrakhan.
Now, didn't he get a lot of criticism for that?
That's right, and he said at the time, I was a human rights lawyer, and unfortunately that means I have to speak on behalf of some unsavoury people. Some of their views make me uncomfortable, but it was my job.
He visited terror-charged Baba Ahmed in Wood Hill Prison.
Mr. Molyneux, where's all your research? People watching this will be thinking that Mr. Khan represented terrorists. He was terror-charged, but he wasn't a terrorist. And this guy served 12 years without a trial.
It says here he gave some support to the Taliban on the internet because he was angry at the way Muslims were being treated around the world, and he admitted he was naive and stupid to do so.
There was bad that happened to me, no doubt, but there was also good. I did see humanity, including from some of the officers who were there to lock my door, including in America. And some of these were former US Marines that had served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's changed the view that I look at America and Americans. They do a lot of bad things in the world, and a lot of people dislike them, and a lot of that dislike is justified. But I think it's unfair to tarnish all Americans as the same.
Seems like a nice guy.
That's right.
And he campaigned for the release and repatriation of Britain's last Guantanamo detainee.
And once again, Mr. Molyneux gives no details. This man was in Guantanamo for 13 years, and he was released without charge because they had no evidence.
And I believe he got £1 million compensation. I've got some video here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Amir says he was working as a charity worker in Afghanistan when he was kidnapped and handed over to US forces. During his time in captivity, he claims he was subjected to abuses including torture, beating, sleep deprivation, and being held in solitary confinement for nearly a year.
If Mr. Molyneux had done some proper research, he would have found out that Mr. Khan had death threats.
I was the guy who had a fatwa against him because I voted for same-sex marriage.
He also said there are questions to be asked about why Muslim women are now covering their faces, something he didn't see even growing up in Pakistan. He also said that women working in public places should allow people to see their faces. Now, back to Mr. Sherlock Molyneux.
And London, the city I grew up in, now has about 50% of the inhabitants are foreign-born.
What the hell is he talking about? It's a multicultural city like New York.
And I will say this, white people, when England voted to...
What was that?
What?
I saw something there.
What is it?
I will say this, when England voted to, or
Maybe just my imagination.
it ended up being in front of Parliament, to ban Donald Trump from the UK after he proposed limiting Muslim immigration into the US.
Donald Trump wasn't talking about limiting, was he?
No, it was a complete shutdown, I think he said.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown.
Limiting.
Complete shutdown.
Limiting.
Complete shutdown.
I did the research at the time, and the regions which were strongest in opposing Donald Trump were Muslim regions in the UK.
Now, where would he get that information from?
I don't know.
Actually, check his links. See if it's down there.
No, nothing there. Just appeals for donations. Money.
More than 500,000 people have signed an online petition urging the government to ban him from the UK. The woman behind the petition says Donald Trump is no different from others who've been barred from Britain on the grounds of hate speech.
Just off the top of your head, what percentage of Muslims do you think voted for the Muslim mayor? And what percentage of Muslims do you think voted for the white guy? You can go look it up if you want, but if the data's not there, I think we all know the answer to that one.
Do you have any data, Mike?
Well, I've got the census figures. Just over 1 million Muslims and just over 7 million of all the rest.
Well, I think that's the answer to that one.
I last travelled to England, I guess about 15 years ago. I was working on a novel that was set in the British countryside, so I rented a cottage and it was lovely. It was lovely.
Oh, Steve, he's getting all emotional. I think he's going to start crying.
Emotional over what?
I will never be able to go home again.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's really sad.
But why the hell can't he go home again? What the hell's wrong with him?
My history has been torn out by the roots. My wife is a Greek.
Oh my, his wife's a foreigner.
And it was a Greek background, and we were going to go and visit Europe this summer. We wanted to visit Ireland.
Oh, Steve, we could get him on our show. We could interview the guy.
I'm not sure I'd like him on the show, to be honest.
Or it is known these days, the Emerald Isle of Somalia.
What did he say?
It's the Emerald Isle of Somalia.
Oh, wait a minute now. Mike, put on that video of immigrants that have integrated perfectly into Irish society.
But some of them are black.
Well, so what?
No, we are not ISIS. No, we don't want to kill people. And no, we don't want to take over the country.
Kids used to make jokes like Cocoa Pops boy or I don't want to touch your dirty skin.
Anything to get these good-for-nothing animals out of the country. Round them all up and fuck them out. As an Irish citizen, I want to make sure I throw my petrol bomb at the right house with children inside.
Because I just wanted to fit in, I just wanted to be like everybody else.
It's not that easy to blend when you don't look the same.
And they look at you, you're black, and they said, no, they don't want to get into your taxi.
Myself and a friend of mine were physically abused on public transport. It was a group of girls, and then...
I'm against the killing of innocent people, but I don't apologise for actions I didn't commit. I don't want things to happen in the future where my wife and my daughter have to make a decision, leave the country.
Now, let's take a look at the real problem. Not the immigrants, but the real terrorists.
Tommy Robinson, formerly of the English Defence League, has travelled to Cork to help Peter O'Loughlin launch anti-Islam group Pegida Ireland.
White people.
And to announce a rally against what they call the Islamification of Europe.
We're not fascist, we're not violent.
A protester has come in to observe the launch.
I'm a member of the public. I'd like to see what's going on. Is that okay?
No, because it's a private meeting now. Fuck off.
We're not fascist, we're not violent.
Excuse me?
Yeah?
Don't get aggressive with me.
I'm not getting aggressive with you, I'm just telling you how it is. You're not welcome.
We're not fascist, we're not violent.
Sit down and shut up then.
Don't speak to me like that.
I'll speak to you how I want.
Okay.
If you don't like it, stop me, mug.
Now, the three friends of that gorilla are standing in the corner, and they've forgotten they're wearing microphones. Listen to what they say when they realise the cameras captured everything.
right, Ian. I know they're going to pick up on that.
Go down camera.
Oh, God, I know.
Stay calm all the time. If the camera's not there, fucking punch geezers right here.
I think they're trying to use the fear of the people for their political gain. It's like Donald Trump.
The numbers are growing nowadays. It's just shocking how stupid people's views can be.
The Emerald Isle of Somalia.
I'm proud to be Irish.
White people.
Stop! Don't fight them. That's what they want.
After being barricaded into a shop by the counter-protest, the Pegida supporters are taken away by police.
I think the right way to respond with them is with dialogue.
The last thing we want is a tit-for-tat society. This is not what we want.
And we were going to visit London, England, where I grew up.
This is the most serious event that's hit London since the Blitz. London is in trouble.
Why should his religion matter? It's not been brought up with the other candidates what their religion is.
At the end of the day, we have a new, diverse, multicultural, multi-faith society. Graham and his kith and kin are going to have to accept the fact that Muslims are here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We have more blended communities. I've got children in my family who are married to Catholics. My mum's side of the family are Sikh. My wife's side of the family are Lutheran Christians. And we have blended families now.
It's not that easy to blend when you don't look the same.
We're not a threat to society, Graham. You're going to have to move on with your views. These are Neanderthal.
These are Neanderthal. I'm not cutting people's heads off. I'm not blowing up the London Underground.
Now let's take a look at those lovely English people that Mr. Molyneux seems to yearn for.
Since it was formed just 11 months ago, the English Defence League has become the most significant far-right street movement the UK has seen since the National Front in the 1970s.
White people.
The organisation's leadership claims it is peaceful and non-racist, concerned only with opposing what it terms Islamic extremism.
They're trying to put the Iraqi law down on London. They're just trying to put their law down on us, and we can't stand for that.
Which Iraqi law is this?
It's the Islamic law.
And a lot of people I've talked to say, not going. Not going. There is a boycott of Europe going on at the moment for reasons that Europeans, in their heart of hearts, perhaps in their 2 o'clock wake-ups and their growing panic that is crashing into the politically correct fears of being a bigot, a racist. It's not that easy to blend when you don't look the same. I can't go back.
Oh, no, not again. Do you think because he's a philosopher it makes him more sensitive?
And
he's not a philosopher, he's an actor. Now this guy's a philosopher.
We get upset about beheadings. They get upset about seeing their father burned to death in a drone strike.
Look, Mike, I know that Molyneux went to some kind of drama school when he was younger, and that helps his whole presentation. He can go from this...
It is a commandment. People might think that I'm bigoted, but I love him.
...to this.
In cowardice! In silence!
Now, do you remember this, Mike?
Oh yeah, that's that little Syrian boy that was drowned.
And this demonstrates that Molyneux is a master. He can give his audience the impression that he's a cold-hearted man, completely devoid of any normal human emotion.
Oh, you know, a kid drowned, and of course nobody wants a kid to drown. It's a terrible thing to happen. People die all the time in the world.
But he can bring his audience to tears with this.
What do you mean, that's a bus?
It might be a bust to you, Mike, but it's a whole bag of bullshit to Molyneux.
The buses, it's funny, you know what, makes you sentimental, but a lot of childhood memories of getting on those famous double-decker London buses. And now they're going to be plastered with Allah is great by Muslims. It is a shocking and horrifying situation. Action alone will save everything we hold dear in this world.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, he is a bit of an actor, but he's quite good at it.
I agree. It's just a pity he doesn't use his talent to bring people together instead of dividing us and making us hate each other.
I know. Well, since it's all over, shall I make a nice cup of tea?
And it's not over.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Steve, look at his eyes.
Quite creepy.
But there is a time for calm, and there is a time...
And he stops for a dramatic pause.
...to not be calm.
Oh, look at his eyes. Look at them.
Look away. Look away, Mike. Don't look at his eyes.
I can't.
He'll pull you in.
I think you know which time it is now.
I do know what time it is, Mr. Molyneux. It's time you shut your fear-mongering gob. You know, it wasn't that long ago, if an Irishman wanted to go and live in London, he'd have great difficulty in finding accommodation. You know why? Because there would be a sign on the window that said no blacks and no Irish. Thank God these days are behind us. And who are you to sit in your ivory tower over there in Canada, telling us what to do? You've got over 1 million Muslims there and a Muslim mayor in Calgary, but I don't see endless videos about that. Or are you too much of a girly man to do so? You know, none of us asked to be on this planet, but here we all are, and some got a better deal than others. So let's get on with it and try and make life good for everyone. Now, back to those lovely civilized English people.
I can't go back.